Alright, we're going to do a Slot.it car, and for those who are new to Slot.it cars, things are a little bit different than in a Scalextric or Carrera car. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and take out the screw. Sorry for my poor lighting. Take out the screw in the front and the rear, and then take the body off. Some Slot.it cars might have two in the front and one in the rear, or two in the rear and one in the front, or whatever. And make sure we don't lose those screws. So we set those aside. Now the first thing you're going to notice is that the axle is not held in by double flanged bushings, as is common in Scalextric and Carrera. So you can't just pop that out. So the first thing you need to do is get the wheels and axle out of there. But you don't have to use this axle. And I remembered this before, but the front axle is the same kind of axle, and the front wheels are just pressed on. So you can easily just kind of twist those a little bit, take one off, pull the axle out, and then getting the other wheel off is a little bit more tricky, but you can get it off with one of the other metal wheels. So we're going to use that axle to do these wheels. Now I'm going to start off with, you just got your car and you want to get to Truin, and you don't want to order extra parts. So the first thing we do is tighten those, and that one doesn't work. Cut that part out. So if you don't have the right tool, look under your Slot.it, the box that the case that the car came in, and underneath the case sometimes is an Allen wrench taped up in a little bag in there. So you want to get a good Allen wrench and put it in the set screw in the wheel, and then back that out just a tiny bit. You don't need to take the set screw out, just back it off so the wheel comes off, and then do the same for the other one. Get the tool in there. And doing this on camera is a lot harder than doing it on a workbench. Okay, here we go. Make sure it's in there before you turn it, because you might strip the screw, like this one wants to strip. Go. Okay, so like I said, you can leave this axle in there and just use the front axle, but if you want to, you can loosen the set screw in the crown gear, just like you do a wheel, and then slide the axle out sideways. But we're just going to use the front axle. So I'll go ahead and put this wheel on the other side of the front axle, and then we'll pull the other wheel off. So you don't need to go super tight on the set screws, just snug, and then pull it out. And then we're going to take the other front wheel off. Just pops right off. And then, now like I said, I'm going to assume that you just got your car. You don't want to wait for other parts in the mail. So we're just going to do it like this, with no bushings. We don't want to do that all the time. We want to get some bushings, but in a pinch, you can do it without bushings. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the 3/32 split pulley on the axle, center dish. Make sure you get it all the way on before you snug it up. And then we're going to just put that in. But first, we want to move the band, the drive band, out of the way. So I just pull it over one side like that. And then I just put that in there. Now, we don't want to just do that. We want to use some lubricant. So after I get, snug that down, because I was doing some tires earlier. So now we pull the band over the tire, over the fork, and over the split pulley. And now it's going to be held in the bottom of the fork, which has a V groove so that you can do this. There we go. And I'll push that band over a little bit. Band is tight enough to hold it down in the groove while we true. But before we do that, we're going to put some lube. So if you don't already have some light oil or slot car oil, there's a variety out there you can get. You can just use 3-in-1 oil, sewing machine oil, gun oil, whatever. It's just a light oil to be a lubricant. So we're just going to put a little bit right on the axle where it's going in that groove. And that'll give us enough lubrication that we're not going to cause any problems just doing a quick set of tires. And then we're pretty much ready to go. So like I would do any other set of tires, bring it down until it touches, and then start making my adjustments from there. Now you notice it's a little off center, so I'm going to go ahead and move that band over a little bit so that it centers back up. There we go. That's pretty good. So now I'd go from there, do my tramming, do my truing, and that's it. Now, ideally, we're not just doing the axles in the forks like that. So, let's pretend like I've got some spare parts. Now, I just pulled these plastic double flange bushings from an old Scalextric car. Just pulled off the wheels. I wasn't using the axle anymore. Didn't even have the car anymore. So I just pulled the old plastic wheels off, pulled these bushings off, and now I can put them on here. You can get bushings straight from Slot.it. You don't have to steal bushings from another car. I'll put some bushing recommendations in the description of the video. But basically, any double flange bushing for 3/32 axle will work just fine. So just go ahead and put both the bushings on, and then put the wheel back on. And then just like before, or like with a Carrera or Scalextric, we make sure the band is off the side, align the bushings, pop it in, and then put the split pulley on. And then pull the band over. Wheel, fork, pulley. And looks like we can move that back over a little bit. And we're good to go. Now, assuming you did this right off the bat, you want to go ahead and put some lubricant in there next to the bushing. Make sure it gets in there. Then go ahead and do your truing. Okay, we're going to pretend those are all done. Obviously, that would take a little bit longer if you were doing a proper job of it. And then we can just pop that back out and put it all back together. I can set those in place by tightening it down a little bit. All right, so now we take the wheels off so we can put them on the rear axle. I'll go ahead and do that. When you're doing that, what you generally want to do is make sure the outside of the wheel is lined up with the outside of the chassis. Right there. Sometimes you need to move it in a little bit more. Sometimes you can move it out a little bit more. We don't need those bushings on there anymore because we're going to put it back on the front of the car. and these just push on. Smooth axle, smooth plastic wheel, and just push those on and squeeze them in, but you want to make sure they rotate freely, so you might need to work it out a little bit. And there you go. Make sure they rotate freely. Then put the car back together. You're pretty much done. You don't need to watch me do that, so obviously, as usual, if you have any questions, put them in your comments. Like, subscribe, and all that junk. See you later.